Welcome to Saroca Speaks, coaching minds and elevating careers. We're so happy to have you here. We hope that you enjoy this episode and that it supports you to put your potential in motion. What's up, everyone? This is Emily Haruka-Lieb, your co-host of Saroca Speaks. I'm here with my lovely co-host.
It's Claire.
And today in our episode, we have a special guest with us, and it's going to be a little bit of a unique, sort of playful time that we have together, a chance for you all to get to know us a little bit more, and a chance for us to put our special guest to work, if you will. So our guest of the day is ChatGPT. And what Claire and I have decided to do is, with some prompts, we're going to be asking each other 10 rapid fire questions each, some a little bit deeper, some thought provoking, some not so much. We do not know the questions that we are going to ask each other with the help of our friend ChatGPT. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Claire.
Thanks. I was really excited when we decided to do this because we usually, have a content calendar and know what we're planning to release. And today we were feeling inspired to try something different and throw it out to ChatGPT. And when I put a very vague prompt in, and I will share with everybody what the prompt was, it was, can you give me 10 questions to use in a podcast with the founder of Saroca, Emily, as a get to know you quick fire round? That was it. I didn't amend the question. I didn't go in and edit. I literally, asked that. And what has come up, I'm chuckling how much ChatGPT just knows you from wherever.
I'm really a little bit nervous to see what's going to come out of this.
Let's
do it. Let's rock and roll. I will give you honest answers as best I can.
Okay. And let's correct ChatGPT if anything is not correct.
Okay, there you go.
So the first question was, what inspired you to start your first direct sales company at 21?
It's funny. After I wrote that in my bio, I realized I was actually 19 when it happened. It was when I left I was 21. That was a long time ago for those of you that are curious. Okay, so what happened was I actually became a part of this. This is supposed to be rapid fire. Gosh, essentially I was part of a larger organization that was running a model where you incorporate your own company and you basically deem yourself an arm or a team of direct sales agents. And there was a company that would then farm clients out to you to do direct sales for them. So I had been previously doing door-to-door sales for about, I think, a year or two. Again, or maybe not quite that long. Late teens, early 20s, this whole process was. And I was quite good at direct sales. I mean, going door-to-door will teach you some serious life skills. I think I can attest a lot of my emotional intelligence today from having knocked on doors literally full-time for 3 years in Ontario, through the cold, through the snow, I've been spit on. I've been called every name in the book. That process fortified me. It made me really great at sales, at relating with people. And I look back on it now and I'm like, how the hell did I ever do that for so long? But anyways, I was quite good at it. So I decided to incorporate my own business and then use the same kind of method to get these deals farmed out to me. So I came by it, through a previous job opportunity. And then it lasted about 3 years until the pressure of running a business as a very young adult definitely got to me. And I moved into advertising and marketing after that at a little boutique agency downtown Toronto. So that was the start of my entrepreneurial journey.
I love that. I actually asked you 15, I said 10, but I'm picking 10. It said, how did your experience in advertising influence your entrepreneurial journey? And I think you kind of answered that question anyway. The next one
it was more my entrepreneurial journey influenced and how challenging it is influenced my career in advertising and marketing. That's hilarious. And then of course I did cycle back to entrepreneurship, as you can clearly see.
Yes.
But yeah, that's an interesting,
Yeah, so let's move into that. So can you share the story behind founding Saroca in 2023?
Sure. I suppose if you want to like be really accurate in this storytelling, it goes back to 2013 when I completed my coach training and started coaching professionally. So that was the start of a new career. I did essentially like the solopreneur journey and one-on-one, a lot of one-on-one coaching, a lot of like women's workshops. And at the time in the beginning, I did a lot of women's empowerment work. And then that evolved more into life and leadership coaching, with all genders. And then in about 9 years into my coaching career, I was recruited to a startup to build out and manage their coaching department. And at the time, I was working with our chief operating officer, and we worked really well together. Two teams that we had built. And so me on the coaching arm and her on the, operations end of things. Our teams took that startup in the first full year that her and my teams worked together. We took that startup from 750,000 annual gross revenue to 1.7 million. And so we knew that we had something good going and that we worked really well together. So eventually we decided to leave that startup, the COO and I, and we started Saroca together. And she was instrumental in setting us up and getting us going, and then has since exited the business and is on to bigger and better things for her. Yeah, that's a little of the inception of Saroca. And here we are stepping into almost our second birthday to much success, and may it keep rocking and rolling.
Love that. We'll come on to that in just a little bit. So one of the next questions, and some people may know this and some people may not, but what does a typical day look like for you as a single mum of two and a business leader?
Wow. All right. Well, so I have my kids 50-50. And so there are weeks that I have them and weeks that I don't. And regardless if I have them or not, my day usually starts at 5 or 6 a.m., where I'm often prepping for calls taking place in Europe. So I usually get in, if I have my kids, I usually get in one call every morning before I make sure my kids are up and fed and take them to school. And that's a pretty typical morning. And then I'll be right here behind my desk on a typical work day till anywhere between, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on the amount of work or sessions. I do try to keep a fairly integrated lifestyle and take time for myself and my house and my family and my dog. So yeah. And then, I guess if we're talking about a typical day, moving the business forward consistently, spending time, the little time that my tweens want to spend with me in the evenings or afternoons, getting some good food, good nourishment. And then it's early to bed around here. So I'm a big bath person. I bath almost every night before bed. That's like my unwind time. And then I try on the weeks that I have my kids, I'm ushering them off to bed as soon as I can because I want to go to sleep. I do not have my kids this week. And last night it was like 8:30 and I was done my bath and I was getting ready to head into bed. And so it's early nights for me around here and early mornings as well.
Yeah.
Just funny. I never thought I'd be a morning person. I always thought this idea of the 5 a.m. club was ludicrous. And now I might, borderline be a part of it, and I can see the impact and how it supports momentum and does cultivate success. Yeah, it's what's required if you want to run an international virtual business. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that lends really nicely to how do you balance the demands of running a company with personal well-being? And I know we just touched on that with your bath time. The school runs, which we know, for me, they're the bane of my life, but because they take so long. Yeah. How do you balance that? Because it is demanding, we are a startup business and we work internationally. So how do you balance that with the well-being? It's the sleep that you mentioned and the bath time.
Sure. Yeah. Like the bath, the fine sets me up really well for good sleeps and sleep for sure. I am one of those people where sure, I can survive on 6, 7 hours, but like I definitely do better in life with, 8, 9, 10, if you will. I have a joke, like I love being horizontal. It's just like, that's my rejuvenation time, and here's the thing. I actually think balance is bullshit because balance implies equal, and there's nothing equal about the amount of time, attention, and energy that I put into the business than I do, say, my laundry, or my domestic responsibilities around my house. Don't get me wrong. Like I obviously do them and like I'm not a slob or anything. Right. But there are like just different times in your life where there are different amounts of energy required or that need to be channeled towards certain things. So the other thought that comes to mind when you ask me that is I think my career is also very much a lifestyle. Like my business is very much a lifestyle. And I'm not suggesting that this is like an excuse for overworking or anything. I think it's really important that you have, your boundaries and your downtime. Very rarely work more than like 8, sometimes maybe 9 hours a day, depending on where my sessions are. So I'm not a big slave driver of myself or others, while also making sure that we get shit done and that we move things forward. And again, like we're 2 years in and we're finding our groove. We're finding that balance that works for us, that is human-centered and takes care of ourselves and our team, but also establishes and continues to achieve our business objectives. So yeah, and the things that I like to do recreationally are time in nature. I live in one of the most beautiful parts of the world, Vancouver Island. And so as much as I can, time out in nature is really rejuvenating and grounding. I'm also like a pretty big TV person. Like I love to binge a good show. I'm pretty picky with my shows, but I do find that that's probably my favorite way for like passive stress management is I love a good show and some snacks.
Love that. One of the questions, this made me chuckle when I read it, was what's your favorite plant in your indoor jungle of houseplants? Which for anyone that's watching the video, Emily has an array of plants behind her. Or if you're not watching the video, she has an array of plants behind her.
And what you can't see is I have this entire windowsill filled with plants. There's a few more over here, and then upstairs in my more living space because I work from home, there are a few. So I think I have 2 favorites. They're both upstairs. One of them is a monstera, which it would be close to this one, those big leaves that have like sort of the holes in the middle. They're almost like a heart shape. And I love this monstera too, but this one's pretty small. The one that I have upstairs is like really big, and the leaves are massive, and it continues to grow. And I've had it since it was just a little baby, and I love it. I love the evolution of plants. And then the other one, I can't remember what it's called, but to me, I call it like a banana leaf tree. It's like those long kind of almost palm style leaves, though, not an actual palm, but like a banana leaf. I don't know if that's what
I know exactly what one you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say that those are my favorite. And actually, there's one more. This jade plant. So for those of you that are watching on the video, this is a jade that is from 2018. So we're now 7 years in. This is 7 years old. I got it when it was literally like 3 inches tall, and it has just flourished and grown and is so beautiful. And the jade plant is just so gorgeous. And I think it's probably pretty clear that I have a passion for plants, if you haven't been able to tell in the last few minutes.
I swear, in England, my mum used to have one of them. It went upright rather than, but I understand, it's coming towards the window. But I swear my mum used to call them the money plants. Like whether
there's money trees. This one is technically a money tree, but usually they come in a braid.
Yeah,
and this one was like
the other one.
Oh, it was the other one. It was the jade. This is also known as a money tree, and money trees are their roots. They often have a braided kind of stem thing, or like trunks. But 2 of mine rotted, so I pulled those ones out, and these ones have survived. So I'm like, is it still good money luck? I don't know. I hope so.
To drive the other ones to thrive. That's what it is.
There you go.
Yes, love that. Thank you. Okay, so I don't know that we've touched on this one in an episode yet. How does your neurodiversity shape your approach to coaching and leadership? Do you bring that to the work?
Yeah, it totally does.
Yeah.
Okay, in coaching, I think it's the ability, as a coach in general, our job is never to judge our clientele. Our job is not to be committed to being right or wrong about them with anything. I think neurodiversity, or the way my neurodivergence, I suppose, influences my coaching is around just this deep level of profound acceptance. And there's nothing off the table for my clients and I to discuss, whether personal or professional. And it's perhaps just a lot of room and grace around, I know I think about things and interact with things differently or uniquely, maybe not that of the average individual. And so holding that for myself very easily allows me to hold that for other people as well, so they can explore freely if you will.
I love that. Thank you.
I'll answer the leadership part too. And, as you know, we have another neurodivergent team member. And there is just like a unique way in which like we kind of just get each other and but there's also a lot of grace for the way that we both, well, for the way everyone handles like setbacks, mistakes, and failures, or the way like perhaps I need to be mindful of the way that I communicate what success looks like in a very, specific and detail oriented way. And so, yeah. And then I think with people that are, neurotypical, I think it's a discipline for me to ensure that I know what I'm saying, that I'm communicating with logic, that I'm, maintaining high levels of trust in the way that I communicate, because I know that the way my brain works maybe is not neurotypical. That's the way it influences leadership.
Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. Okay. What is the most rewarding aspect of your work with Saroca?
I mean, the impact that I get to have on other people, 100%. To see somebody go from like lacking confidence to like totally courageous and in touch with a new possibility for themselves is there's nothing more rewarding. To coach people, toward a promotion and they get it, to support someone in a career transition change and then they land their dream job. There are so many rewarding aspects of supporting others and watching the impact that they get to see, kind of like just like waiting for the magic to arrive. And it, more often than not does. And that's what keeps me engaged and excited.
I love that. That's exactly how I feel, actually. And that's why obviously we're so aligned. And yeah, so that I couldn't have said that more perfectly myself. Okay, we have 3 more questions.
All right.
How do you stay motivated during challenging times?
Yeah, perseverance is a real thing. Resilience is real. I really believe in that saying. Like, it's not about how many times you fall down. It's about how many times you pick yourself back up. I think it's normal to doubt yourself. It's normal to second guess things, but what's not okay is giving up. And I think that that's like the only way that I have become successful as a coach is like, I could have given up at year 3, year 5, year 7, year 9. We're now going on 11 or 12 now. 12, the 2025 is 12 years. So I think it's keep showing up to the process, keep refining the vision that you have for yourself in your future and, allow that to define the way you show up to the present moment.
Okay. What advice would you give to aspiring female entrepreneurs?
Wow. Buckle up. It's not rosy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it by any means. You better be really fucking committed. You better have a great idea. You better be good at what you do. You better find people around you that are willing to cheer you on, that also believe in you and believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself first and foremost. See the value, own the value that you create in whatever it is that you do. But also I would say, honestly, if I was just giving general advice out there in this category, I would say that not everybody is cut out for entrepreneurship. So you need to find out if you've got the skin for that first. And if you feel like you do, or there's some inkling, some intuitive hit, then fucking go for it. Like, what do you have to lose? At the very least, you can just retreat back to your mediocre life you had before you pursued entrepreneurship. I'm just kidding. I don't know if your life's mediocre, but, but all joking aside, go for it. If it's something you really want, get resourceful, find the support, no regrets.
I think that's great advice. And the final question, what is next for you and Saroca in the coming years? It says years, and we can even do like, yeah, I'm even going to go the next year. But if you wanted, the vision for how your life will be and the business will be in a few years, but even if we just focus on the next year.
Yeah, I think the next year, we're continuing to refine our strategic partnerships, the contribution that we make at industry events and conferences in the realm of not only participating in panels and, hosting roundtables and such, but also offering interactive workshops and really giving people an experience of what it's like to put some of our leadership tools into practice and receive support in that capacity. I think you can definitely anticipate to see the business grow, in our mid-sized program range, but in our also the enterprise program range, even our B2C offerings. I mean, it's just like, I feel like just keep doing more of what we're doing. And the goal is, build a very successful lifestyle business, build a very, very impactful management consulting firm. And maybe that's not everyone's dream, but that's my dream. Live a really good life and make a positive impact and take care of the people around me that are supporting me to bring this dream to fruition and make sure they're taken care of and that they're achieving their dreams. And that's the goal. That's the off the cuff answer.
I love that. And for you personally, any goals?
Gosh, I mean, coming into, I'll be 43, as you know, in a couple weeks. And I think it's just about maintaining my health and vitality and my fitness and being kind to myself and allowing myself, permission to age and to hopefully do it gracefully, but knowing that it's going to happen, stay in close relationship with my children. They are the two most important people to me in my life. Yeah, I think that's about what I got in store for myself at this point.
I love that. As you should. As you should. Well, thank you for our quick fire 10 questions.
I don't know how quick it was, but they're not easy. It's not like favorite food. These are not really. Okay, well, and so now here you go, your turn. So we're putting you in the hot seat. I have done the same with our friend ChatGPT over here, where I have asked them to give me the best 10 deep dive questions for podcast co-host Claire Adamo, combining the most thought-provoking questions. Okay, and so here's what it is. There's 10 coming at you. What's a defining moment in your career that shaped how you lead today?
Very interesting. I'm going to go back pre-gaming to a woman boss that I had that was treated me so poorly that I thought I'm never, ever going to behave like that in business or as a leader ever again.
You've mentioned her in a former podcast.
In a previous episode, and she was just the worst manager I think I've ever had. And I've been working since I was 17. And I just thought I am never, ever going to treat people like that in business. And I never have since. So that was a big defining moment for me.
Good. Some silver lining out of a negative experience. All right. You've built a career in male-dominated industries. What has that journey taught you about resilience and leadership?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was really tough when I first started in a male environment. And actually, prior to gaming, I worked for a home entertainment company, and that was all men, and I was the only woman there. And my ex-partner couldn't handle me being there. So it was not the only reason that it destroyed our relationship, but it was the decline of our relationship because he couldn't handle that situation. But it really taught me a lot. It taught me a lot of resilience coming into gaming, being, one of the first women affiliate managers, and it was, 98% men. It was, you better buckle down, be resilient, be aware of your surroundings, be aware of what's going on and people's intentions. I aligned myself very quickly with some great trusted men that always had my back, no matter, where I was, if I was traveling alone and things like that. So I was very quick to have my wits about me. And I didn't really have a lot of women role models, actually, in 19 years of this career. There was no women role models. So it was all men. And I've learned some great skills from them, and great ways of how to communicate and how to be fair, and sometimes what not to do, of course, but that's men and women. We all make mistakes, but it's been hard. And I'm not going to lie, it has been really hard. It's somewhat easier because back then when you are kind of spot the blonde in the room, everyone knew my name. It was like that, was it Cheers back in the day, that American program, everyone knew your name. It was the same thing because the competition was so small. I could automatically get in with the affiliates because they knew who I was. So there were pros and cons for it, of course, but it definitely made me hardworking. It definitely made me step it up, open my eyes to a great industry, for sure.
Wonderful. Appreciate that. What's a challenge or failure that in hindsight became one of your greatest advantages?
A challenge or failure that became a biggest advantage. I was working for a company, and we built the entire affiliate program I wasn't running the team, but I came in, I think we were 5 people. And the company brought in another team, almost like a rival affiliate team. And we, of course, completely disagreed with the way that they just brought us in. And it was almost like 2 competing teams, right? Which one of you is going to survive? The existing team that built the company or the new team that's young and fresh and hungry? And cheaper than you guys. And I remember having to go in for a meeting with the new head of the department, and they wanted to completely renegotiate the contract to the terms that I would have lost thousands in terms of commission on the new contract, and I just refused to accept it. And if this person's listening, they'll know exactly who they are, but they're a great friend of mine now. But I remember having this conversation and was just like, no, I don't accept the new terms. And I was standing my ground, and the rest of my team, went back and they looked at me, and one by one, people started to leave. But I remember they said to me, you have to accept it. And I said, well, I don't. Well, you have no choice. And I said, there's always a choice. And they said to me, what do you mean? I said, there's always a choice. I accept it or I don't. And they looked at me, and a month later I quit. And I feel like it was a really defining moment for me to really understand my worth more, and to understand, when one door closes, other opportunities present themselves. And I did take one other job after that. And then I opened my own consultancy. So I became, an affiliate manager or affiliate management consultancy agency, and it was really successful. I was constantly had work, but it really was a defining moment for me to understand my value and what I will accept, and to take that challenge on myself and take a step away from what I had known for a few years.
Yeah, as a woman too, to just stand your ground like that in an environment that you did is really inspiring.
Thank you.
All right. So what's something that you once believed about success that you no longer think is true?
What did I used to think about success that's no longer true? I wonder if I can relate that financially. I always used to think that when I reach a certain amount in terms of a salary or financial gain, that's successful, and when I reach my whole career, from starting out as an apprentice and I was making £75 a week to, now where I am in my career, I used to think, oh, well, when I get to, 12 grand a year or 50 grand a year or whatever it is, like that's success. Let me get a bonus. That's success. I've made it, or I've gone from a junior to a senior to a team lead to a, head of department. I used to think those things defined who you are. And what I've come to realize over the years is, yes, the finances is incredible because it opens up so many opportunities. You can take more risks. I can do more things with my family that I couldn't do before, right? So there is, in that, I do think that I'm successful, but I thought I was successful financially 3, 4, 5 years ago. So it just, success is never, how much money is ever enough, right? So I don't be defined by that. And actually I realized I used to feel defined by my job title, and that used to make me feel important, my job title. But the reality is, it's how do I show up in my team and in my business? And as, if I'm a team lead, if I'm a head of a department, how do I show up for the people that are around me and are looking to me for guidance and leadership? And that to me is successful. If people are coming to me and respect me and want my opinion or want my advice or want my guidance or my help or, for coaching or mentorship, that to me now is success. I feel completely detached. I don't need a job title. Job titles are great, of course, but it doesn't define success for me anymore.
How do you approach decision making when the stakes are high and the path forward isn't clear?
It's a great question, because I think sometimes we can ask a lot of opinions of the people that we love and respect. Sometimes I feel like too many opinions are too much and it becomes an overwhelming decision. And I have made decisions based on other people's opinions and let them guide me into kind of their way of thinking. And ultimately, it goes against that gut feeling, like that gut feeling that we have and that instinct we have is so strong. And I feel like whenever I've gone against that because I've listened to others and their opinion is so strong, I always feel like I've made a mistake. And so now I've learned, like, it always works out, right? Because life is never a straight road. Our careers are never a straight road. I always say they're like a zigzag and a windy, the yellow brick road, right? It's always windy and it keeps giving us different directions, and our life goes down in different directions for a reason. So I do feel like anything that went against that gut feeling, it still worked out great for me. And I'm loving where my career is and where my life is. Yeah, I think that's where now one of the biggest things that I've learned is when I have to make big decisions is, yes, consult the people that I respect a lot and the people that perhaps have, decisions. Is it going to affect my husband and my family? Then that's, we'll take that and have a conversation. But I have to sit on it and mull it over a little bit, sleep on it, and then come back and go, okay, now is my gut feeling still the same as yesterday? And if it is, then that's how I tend to make my decisions.
Mm-hmm. Learning that you can actually trust that decision, especially in hindsight.
Yeah. Absolutely.
As a leader and a coach, how do you help people unlock potential that they don't see in themselves?
Great question. I love that. And that's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to become a coach, is because I want people to feel like they're living their best life. And I want people to achieve all of their dreams and achieve all of their goals. And so I ask a lot of questions in my sessions. So I really try and, I had a session recently and someone was like, I'm just shy. I'm like, but what are you shy about? Because we're now a few sessions in and you've got verbal diarrhea and so you're not shy. It's just like unlocking exactly what it is. And it's not a shyness. It's a confidence and a lack of confidence within a certain particular area. And the other areas actually were totally fine. And so I never thought about that, or I never thought of how my culture shapes how I show up in different situations. And then when we work things back, and I love that kind of the puzzle piece or like a little, what are them, the dolls, the Russian dolls, like where you open up another layer and it's like, and then, when we kind of keep unlocking some of those Russian dolls, it's like, well, that's why do I think that? Now I know why I think that way. That's ridiculous. Or, well, of course I can do that. Doesn't, why am I letting that hold me back? And so it's those aha moments that really, I've forgotten the question, but it's those aha moments that really got me into wanting to be a coach. And how I show up is really like pushing to the boundaries of, well, why are you like that? Well, what would be possible if you're not like that? What would be possible if I pushed you too far, like you're uncomfortable, but what could you achieve? Why do you hold yourself back? What is possible? Like, so many harder questions. I don't think I answered the question, but
you totally did. And how you kind of like help people see a potential that they might not see in themselves. All right. So next is, how do you balance ambition with being present for your blended family and your personal life?
That is a great question. It's incredibly hard because I, like you, have 50-50 custody, but work never stops, right? And I am super ambitious and I always want to give my all. I'm trying very hard to balance and block out family time when it's dinner time and I'm working, Pacific hours and things like that. So I'm trying to be very present when I can. But I also have done a lot of work with my kids for them to understand that when I can't be present, they understand why. And then we make things up at the weekend or, I used to put them on the bus to school and a lot of days now I'm like, well, I'll drive you because tonight mummy's got loads of meetings and we can't do X, Y, Z. We've got less time together. So we try and balance that time together, and they're really understanding. They've really come to appreciate what I do.
Beautiful. I love that so much. It's all because they get to go on fun trips all the time.
That's it.
All right. And finally, what is the legacy that you hope to leave behind, both personally and professionally?
Great question. So personally, I say this all the time, and I just really want my kids to be proud of me, proud of what I've achieved, proud of the life that I've built for them, proud of the places that I have taken them and, fulfilling their dreams. So I always tell my kids to dream big. And when I ask them, hey, where do you want to go on holiday? They're telling me Brazil, Australia, Canada. I'm like, hey, kids, there's 4 of you now. So, we're a family of 6. Let's rein it in this year and maybe next year we'll do. But they're thinking big. But my legacy with them is that I was really proud of my mum, and my mum gave me so much inspiration that I could be anything that I wanted to be. And then they become the best version of themselves because I keep telling them they can be anything and just keep going for their dreams. And I hope that they then, as they build their family and their life, that they pass that down. So personally, that's massive for me. And then in my career, having been, like I mentioned, 19 years, I just want to show that it is possible being a woman in the industry, and how much is possible when you just keep persevering and, you know, you keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and you really believe in what you're achieving. You show up being decent and respectful and honest and true to yourself with all the values that, you know, make a great person and make a great leader, that I have, you know, people can look at me and go, I really loved what she did. She navigated being in the industry when it was, you know, 5% women, and then still stood the test of time, you know, to leave something behind for everybody else coming. So that's my hope.
I love that. Well, I think the legacy you're cementing in the industry speaks for itself. And I think the one you want for your kids, there's truly no greater legacy.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we hope that you all enjoyed today's episode and getting to know us a little bit more and getting at least good entertainment. We wish you nothing but the best. Thanks for being here, and we will see you next time on Saroca Speaks.
Till next time. Bye.